All right, I'm back. I was feeling not so well earlier, but I rested and I feel better, so we're going to continue working on cast here. Just a second, because I also forgot earlier to make a Discord announcement, so here we go. Pam 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 pam. All right, so where did I stop? Where did I stop? I stopped right here. This program doesn't work for some reason. So specifically, this stdcmp-less is a function. Stdcmp-less is a function which has an integer and an integer. Here. And what is happening is that we have invisible labels here saying that this is field number 0, right? And over here we say field number 0. That's what we should say, but for some reason one of these places says that it's field number 1 and not 0, basically. Yes, that's the issue. So we tried uniting different labels, 0 and 1. So the 0 comes from over here, which is correct. So over here we think it's a 0, which it should be. And then over here it's 1. Okay, so why it's 1? If I say 1, 2, 3, it's because the reason it says it's 1 is not because... Oh, wait, it is because of that. Wait, what? The label is 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay, that explains things, actually. So the label is equal to this. Okay. That explains a lot. All right, I can already see the problem, I think. So here's where I'm parsing tuples, and since the child shapes a simple token, we know that the label is equal to the token. That's right. And that's not right. Yes. So over here we have the thing separated by comma, and separated by comma we have either a field in it, and a field in it is something that has a label. And this over here is always an unnamed field, but I'm treating, if it's a simple token, like it's a named field, but I should not ever do that. We just do this, right? And then I go and I try running this program, and it runs. And then I restart my language server, and it works. Okay, nice, I fixed it. That was some stupid bug. Okay, so if I revert this, so the reason I noticed that is because my guess a number was not working, but now it works again. There we go. We can go to the definition of things. I can rename things. All right, nice. Great. Let me commit that. Fix unnamed tuple field labels. All right, so now the question is, what do I do next? Do I want to improve my LSP even more? Or do I want to work on the language a little bit? Who knows what I want to do here, actually. But what I should try is, like, work on some program here, right? And see if I notice any issues, basically. So yeah, and then while I'm working on the program like this over here, yes, what I want, I think, is, I see immediately one thing that I want, which is this unwindable block is ugly. What I want is to just have breaks from loops. I'm not sure if I'm ready for breaks from loops though. But maybe I am. Hello, Nigel. Hello, Nigel. Maybe I am, actually. Maybe it's not that bad. So, like, unwindable thing gives you a named block that you can break out of, like this, right? But then there are just loops. By the way, why is the loops thing underscore? Yo, Brainoid, hello. Is your game out yet? I don't think, right? It's like tomorrow or something. Hi. Less than 24 hours. Yeah. All right. The language is shaping nicely. I don't know if you noticed, but my my LSP is actually like making this feel like a usable language right now, at least like in this simple example. You just made it to popular on upcoming? No way. Can you make my game popular? Upcoming and make sure that it's released too? What's it called? Your thing. I forgot. I just looked at it today. My memory is bad though. It's Replicat. Yes, Replicat. Can you check the store actually? Let's check. I have Replicat Demo and Replicat Beta, right? And that's going to be like the third version. Replicat Demo is already in Steelman library. What do you mean by checking this store? Just take a look at the store, literally. Popular and upcoming. I never look here myself. The new and trending, is that what you mean? Or popular upcoming? Popular upcoming is the... Yes, it's number 3. That's popular. Alright. Well, will you remember still us? Here on our little Twitch channel called Kuviman when you become popular and rich? Will you still come and hang with us sometimes? Popular in Russia? You think I'm being shown the things that is Russian specifically? I guess. Alright. Good luck. It's not 3 for you? Alright. You just checked out Link's Harder on Steam? It looks so good. Nice. Take a look at Brainoid's game too. Brainoid's a friend. But his game is not a puzzle, it's the... His game is popular, actually. Let me put a link here. But yeah, I don't know when we are going to release our game, and Brainoid's game is being released like tomorrow, within 24 hours. This is a like deck builder. Mostly resembling... What was this other game that you were inspired by, which also became popular? I don't remember anything. Balatro, yeah, this game like Balatro, yeah. But yeah,
making a programming language.
If there's other people who did not check my game, there's the link to my game too. You see the trailer in the top right corner all the time. Hello, Brainoid, you're not making a programming language? Well, then I guess you're lucky because I am making the programming language for you. All right. Once this is made, we can all just use it and forget about all the other programming languages, right? For me, will it say made by Brainoid? You mean like made for Brainoid? That would mean for you, not by you, right? Going to fork it and change the name? What will you change the name for? The best? It's going to be the best language? Bash 2? Isn't Bash like patented or something? Is it not a trademark or whatever? Bash trademark? Or like what's it called? Bash is a trademark owned by multiple companies with different goods and services. There's the Bash app Inc. What's the Bash app Inc? The Bash LLC owns a Bash. The Bash plus plus. What does my microphone play music now? What? It doesn't. Wait, what? When you speak, it also plays a tone? Did I break my microphone? Some weird feedback noise? Let me hear it. Some weird feedback noise? Let me hear it. I don't hear it. Some weird feedback noise? Let me hear it. I don't hear it. Weird feedback. Some weird feedback noise? Let me hear it. Some weird feedback noise? Like that thing? I think it's the same bug, right? I think it's the same bug that I have all the time. Like my my microphone just glitches sometimes. I still don't know how to fix it. Is my camera glitching still, by the way? Because it was also glitching for some reason. Right? It's in the unactivated Linux bug, yeah. Really easy tide. Hello, hello. Just goes away when you check it, yeah. Alright. You guys have any suggestion of what I do for the language? I just made some improvements to the LSP and I'm wondering what I should do next. But the recent additions was that I can go to the definitions properly and like renames works for things like fields, which it was not working before. And make like a type x is 1 2 3 and then like x like foo of type foo. If this is foo, this must be a type, right? With this syntax, because I forget my own syntax, I guess. And then I can rename this. This wasn't working before and now it is. It started again and then it's back. Can you add variables? I already have variables. I have a lot of things. And I also don't have a lot of things. Should I, the question that I have right now, should I work on the language or more on the LSP? By the way, I just had this thing. So if I omitted this semicolon, right? Then the thing doesn't parse, of course, because it's expected end of file, but we got a let, of course. So this doesn't work. And what this leads to is when I try to format the code, it just removes everything in the end, which is a bug. I should never remove code when formatting, right? Mystery noise. Maybe I can fix that or something. Like the definitions properly and like renames work. Yeah, I see. Yeah, I don't know how to fix it though. If you have any ideas, maybe I just get a new microphone. What if I switch to a different microphone? It's going to be like a lot worse quality. If I do this. No, you couldn't hear that at all. Maybe if I... Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. It's not a big issue. Then I will not be looking into that. The only fix that I know is switching to Windows, which I don't want to do. New stream idea, build your own microphone. But in order to build my own microphone, I need to finish my own language. So that we can build like so that we can like build our own AI with this language, and the AI is going to build the microphone or whatever. I don't know. So I'm going to continue this thing, I think. I actually, I think I know what's happening here, because the reason this is omitted is literally the thing in the end is the stuff that's been deleted. If I remember correctly, if I do here, like else, right? This is going to say that expected end of file, but I got an else. If I try to save this now, this is going to remove it. But at the same time, if I do else and then semicolon and then else, this is going to say that... Oh wait, this also removes it. Okay, maybe not then. Oh, because I only skipped the unexpected punctuations, and this is not punctuation. Maybe, I don't know. Should I look into this, or should it not matter? Or here's the other suggestion. I change this into a loop, which I actually just break from. I just literally introduce the break keyword, and keep this a little simpler, like so. That will make it actually look like a real programming language, kind of. So break, sure. I mean, yeah, why not? I think it's actually not that difficult. But it means that basically my loops are actually going to be... Wait, do I have the current int32? I could not find current in the scope. Okay, I don't have the context though, because what this loop will is supposed to be rewritten into, the breaks is supposed to be like just syntactic sugar for the code, which still uses unwindable blocks, right? Like this. So this should just be break, right? And break would mean unwind to this block. But how do we know which block to unwind to, right? So for that, I guess what needs to happen is that I need to introduce over here with current loop block is equal to block. And this should be like comp time, I think. So basically, this is a keyword for injecting the context. The current loop block is the name of the context. It should be the type of the unwind handle, and this is the value of it. And over here, instead of saying unwind block, this should actually say unwind current loop block. We can make it just loop block, I guess. Comp time with loop block being this, and this is the current loop block. There we go. So current loop block is like retrieving this by the name, So in order to use the break, I need to be inside of the loop, is what this means. And this must be, by the way... Wait, yeah, and this must be like comp time, actually. Comp time current loop block, because I need to take the value here at comp time, not at runtime. But also, what is the value of this unwind block at compile time? At compile time, this is just a binding. It doesn't have the value, actually, because this variable is only being created at runtime. We still have bindings here. Unwind this. Comp time, current loop block. Current loop block. Would this even work? Let me try my previous version. Cast here, cargo run. Right, so this is the old version, which actually had the context system. So I can say something like with 1 to 3. Is that working? Current int 32 is 1 to 3, right? So what if I say something like this? I will introduce like a scope, and I will say let x be 1 to 3, and I will say comp time with x, and then I will say dbg comp time current int 32. X is of type int 32. Maybe this? Yeah, so as you can see, the comp time, so at compile time, the current integer is just this binding. We don't have its actual value, right? Which makes sense. This is like the variable without without the value, basically. So how do I get the value of it? I need to introduce the new thing, which actually gets the values. Or maybe, so like at compile time, this is a binding, right? Which means that this should basically result into this being the same code as dbgx, right? Because comp time current int 32 is literally just x. So this should be the same as dbgx. But right now it's a constant binding. Okay. So yeah, maybe this is actually true. If I try to create a constant and it's a binding, then it should instead just be the binding. Feels like a hack. Feels like it's wrong a little bit. So I feel like we should instead have like a dedicated, you know, like comp, you know, like read binding comp time current in 32, so to make it explicit, but at the same time, why would I ever want this to not be happening? Why not do it automatic? There probably is a reason. All right, probably no one understands what I'm talking about anyway, so hello, Shasi Kitsun. Hi. How are you doing? Yeah, maybe I just introduce the context system real quick. How about that? So here's what I want. This is how I want to use it. This is a little different from my previous version, but the declaration of this should be something like this. Something like this, you know, const loop block, which should be a context, which is you know, context of type unwind. Oh, am I? I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. I'm making my own programming language here. At least tried to. Context. So this is over here. This is unwind handle. Which is not even exposed currently, right? So I want... And by the way, this is a generic thing. And I don't have generics yet at all. Unless I can make... I can make all the loop blocks, all the loops, which I can break from. Just the loops that return nothing. Right? So I have the unwind unit, right? Which is supposed to be like unwind unit, I guess. Like this, with square brackets for generics. Unit is the empty parentheses. But since I don't have generics right now, I will just say something like native unwind. And native unwind, I guess, would be a function which takes like the generic argument. So I could do that. This would be in parentheses then, right? So this means that I need multiple things. And the native unwind. Okay, sure. Let's start with that. Natives. Right. So we have right now native types like this. And the unwind handle is the generic type. Let's see, unwind. Yeah, we have unwind token, which is generic because it has an argument of the unwind result of the result type. Okay. So because of that, I want to have let me call this plain types. Let me also then have generic types. Making inferior language in a superior language. Sturdy pose. Well, since you have put the kappa and like since you put double kappa in your message, I guess you understand that you're wrong and it's completely opposite. Okay. Hello, welcome. Generic types is basically going to be a string times so generic type is basically a function from type shape. No, not from the type shape. Yes, sure, from type shape into a new type shape. You think the second kappa undoes the first kappa? Okay, let's see. So we have the unwind. I call it specifically not just unwind. I call it unwind token. So maybe unwind token is what I should call it. Still. So unwind token, and this is going to be like a function type into t unwind token, where result is type. So we can call it this argument result, basically like this. The value has type shape. Oh yeah. Okay, it doesn't matter. So result is type new type inferred result, like this. You love a camel just fucking with me? Alright. I hate a camel. And I mean, yeah, I hate everything. I guess since I'm using it, I don't hate it that much. Which basically means that I love it too. Right? Okay. So I'm on one token. A camel better than Rust? For me, yes. Oh, no. No, for me, no. That was a typo. No, OCaml is faster to compile, but as a language, I think it's... I mean, there are a couple things in OCaml that would be really nice to have in Rust. But in general, I think Rust is a better language. But it compiles really, really slowly, which is why I'm not using it. Same goes for Haskell. If Haskell was also not having issues with compile times, which as far as I'm aware are even worse than Rust, then I would probably go Haskell instead. But there is a lot of other things that I hate in Haskell too. Just like, Camel, I just hate everything. So we are trying to make a language which is both like, which is having like the best things of all the worlds. OCaml has pretty piss poor standard library. Well, that's not my biggest complaint about OCaml though, because I'm okay with writing the things myself. Like, I don't care about the fact that OCaml libraries suck. I'm okay with writing my own. I did write my own ones in Rust anyway. All the libraries you use in Rust also need to be compiled when you compile your app? Yes, but no, that's not the reason why my compile times were slow. Otherwise, you could write your own libraries in Rust to improve compile time, no? Well, I mean, yes, that's how you improve the compile times in Rust. I mean, kind of. Like, in order to improve compile times in Rust, you split your code into multiple separate independent, like, libraries, right? So that you don't recompile, like, the entire thing when, like, one library is changing. Then you only recompile, like, the relevant bits. But that's not always easy thing to do. OCaml also has better error messages. Yeah, I would say OCaml error messages are not that good. Rust error messages are better, but I think that doesn't really matter that much. What matters, like, for example, is like that the LSP of OCaml is crashing every 5 seconds. Well, maybe not every 5 seconds, but sometimes it starts crashing and it never stops. That doesn't really happen to me in Rust. The if in terms of like the language itself, right? Rust has the borrow checker. So is borrow checker a good thing or a bad thing? In my opinion, it's a good thing. Some people think that it makes you be less productive because you're fighting it all the time, but it actually is like extra information in the type system, right? Which is good for preventing bugs, which you can have in OCaml easily. In OCaml, you easily can have race condition. I think that's the first thing when I had threads enabled in my LSP or something. I immediately had the race condition. That's like the first thing that happened. So yeah, like race conditions and like use after freeze, which is not like in C, but you know, when you use a resource after you have like disposed of it semantically, that can happen easily if you don't have a borrow checker, right? It's not always about memory safety. Borrow checker is a good thing. They have this thing called OxCaml, which adds the linear types in OCaml. I think, right? I think they had linear types here. I'm not sure. Yeah, like a linear type system is a good thing. But a lot of people would say that it makes you, I don't know. I guess like there's not a lot of people who are writing in languages with linear type systems right now. Like Rust is the most popular one with the borrow checker, right? But there are more languages coming up with linear type systems, and like they introduced the linear types, you know, in Haskell relatively recently. The OxCaml is getting linear types in the Jane Street compiler, right? I think it's going to become more popular soon, and we'll see how much people complain about it. But in my opinion, it forces you to think, like it forces you to like it prevents bugs is the most important thing. Is like having a static type system in general makes you think more compared to when you use a dynamically typed language, because I see these things as literally the same. The only difference is when the borrow checker of Rust is a little bit too limiting, where, you know, there is like some valid code which borrow checker still is not allowing. That's when it becomes a problem. So yeah, and there are cases of that in Rust for sure. one of the simplest things that we can do in OCaml and we cannot do in Rust is recursive closures. That is really easily done in OCaml, but in Rust you literally cannot. You must, if you want to do that, like expose the functions separately. Something. You like need to basically like rewrite your closures into like structs with methods, for example, manually, and not do it automatically. But anyway, let me see this here. I'm trying to implement these this thing. I want the compiler. I want my language to. Ew? What do you mean ew? I'll keep my std function. Thank you very much. What's std function? I thought you are an OCaml person. Std function is from C++. Wait, can you do recursive closures in C++, by the way? You probably can, right? I'm not sure, though. C++ recursive lambda. How to make a recursive lambda? Can you do that? The recursive lambda functions work perfectly well. It's just they are not really compatible with type inference in C++. You mean lambda calling itself? Not necessarily itself, like mutually recursive lambdas, I guess, is where it's the biggest problem, right? Because in OCaml you have like let a be one function, right? And then you have this end keyword. B is another function which can call like a, and this function can call b, right? And this can be like a recursive functions. Then they can call each other. That's something that you cannot do in Rust. You can only do this for standalone functions. In OCaml there is not really such a thing as like a standalone thing. Yeah. So like in Rust, it's more it's not just because of the parser. It's more like because in Rust, when you say let a be like the one closure, and then you say let b be another closure, then what is the order in which they are going to be dropped, right? For example, the dropping, like you have to like kind of drop them at the same time, and when they are dropping, they should not, like, once one of them is dropped, you should not be able to like use the other one already, but there is nothing that can like guarantee that in Rust. In OCaml it's easier because like it's just garbage collected. There is nothing. Wait, is there in OCaml like the finalizers or whatever? I don't think there is, right? So you don't really worry about those things. And like it's garbage collected anyway, so the things are just going to be freed as they are not used anymore. A finalizer is like some of the garbage collected languages, they allow you to specify like a function which is going to run before an object is going to be freed by the GC, which is like the alternative destructor in C++ or the drop mechanic in Rust. I don't think there is such a thing in OCaml though, right? Yeah. Okay, let me over here say plain types list map. And then I want generic types map. How do you drop an closure? well, a closure is basically like a function plus its environment that it's captured, right? So when you drop a closure, you basically drop the environment. You drop every like variable that is captured, something like that, right? Well, every owned variable, right? Sometimes you capture things by reference, then dropping a reference technically does nothing. Okay, my generic types here. We have a function. Then return name, and this creates a value. Yeah, value shape is the. Oh, and this is what I return. Yes, I return string and value. I return a type, which is. No, I don't return a type. I return a function. What's a function? Let's see. Definition. No, I return a native function. Hello, Nerdcell. That's why I like Parlang, to be honest. The linear system. Yeah. So wait. So here's a question then. Can you have recursive closures in Parlang? I've been hearing more and more about Parlang. This guy who is making it is like promoting it pretty actively currently. Can you have recursive closures here? Or not? Just released a video. Yeah, that's what I saw. I mean, I didn't see the video. I saw that he released it though. Is it long? I don't remember. I saw it on Reddit. Programming languages. Dun, 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 dun. This one, automatic concurrency without await. That's how it's going to work in my language too, by the way. So I don't know. Parlang is interesting. I should take a look at it. You don't think it even has closures? Does it not?
Hello.
Hi.
Creating a new program in bar.
Let's take a look at some code. No, you have like main, right? Isn't that a function basically? Def defines a function. Or are you saying that in this language you can only have the top level functions and no closures at all? That's limiting though. But maybe like they're currently exploring like this idea of the like session types and whatever. Right? Let's take a look at this. Yeah, I see only top level functions. Kind of. I do see the recursive keyword though. Maybe it's easier to take a look at the actual website though. A learn par. Price checker. Oh, it's an example. Reference. Primitive types. So is function a type? There's generic types. A type representing that A implements number and ord. Sure. There is no, oh no, there is function type. Yeah, function that accepts the argument. So like you have that, okay? Which means that you can have functions as values. I'm pretty sure that means that it should have lambdas. So here's an expression. A dot foo is an expression that accepts one argument, a record with field foo, and returns the value of foo. That's interesting syntax. So this is a function. The dot foo is a function. There you go. This is the closure, right? let foo, and then you have the arguments here on the left side. That's a closure. Assigns foo to a function that accepts arguments and returns the value. That's the different parlang. Wait, what? Is it different? Statically typed functional language, functional usability. Are you sure? Maybe it is. Experimental concurrent programming language. Maybe it is different. Okay, let's start. Let's read this one. Color ray march. Okay, yeah, that's a different one. Types and their expressions. Function. A function transforms arguments into a result. Type function is in string. Okay, sure. Define this is that. Okay. Linearity. Sure. Nonlinear functions are achieved using box types. Construction. Function values bind their argument inside square brackets, followed by expression computing the result. Sure. Patterns can be used. Generic functions. There's the for all types. Destruction. It doesn't say anything about the closure or lambda on this page. What about recursive? Something else. It's automatic concurrence from the interaction net runtime. Yeah, I saw that. Okay, I don't even know why I'm looking this up right now. I don't, I mean, I want to look at this, but kind of not exactly right now. At some point. Maybe. I want to do this. So I have a function. I have a native function. Native functions have type. Type is argument. Argument is type. And result is another type. And then name of this native function is going to be the same name, and implementation is a function caller argument. Then we say let argument be argument value expect type. Unwrap option, unwrap or else. Return return or else error. Let's do this with return function return let error be return value type shape is type Type inferred error. Is that what I want? I think. Okay, this is one of the the things about OCaml. I never can find the syntax error in my code. Somehow it's not an issue in Rust, but in OCaml I never see it. Over there. Okay, so I need to return the value here, which is going to be shape is a type. So yeah, this returns value type function using the argument. No. Type inferred function argument, because my functions return these shapes. Okay, this should work. Color is a span, right? So I think over here when I have the error, and this thing is stupid, like OCaml, the most annoying thing I think is the inference of the types. That's the most annoying thing for sure. Because even although this type is known, it doesn't know the fields. What's automatic concurrency? Like you write your code and then it like automatically runs it in parallel. It's the most annoying and most powerful for sure. It's not the most powerful. The inference, in Haskell is more powerful. I'm pretty sure, and it is less annoying. I'm pretty sure. I mean, in Haskell, like we're talking, like this specifically is about the inference of the record types. Record types in Haskell are also really annoying. It could be not annoying, but they decided to do an inference in such a way where, like, in order for this type to be inferred, it's inferring the type based on what types are currently like in scope. And if there are multiple types with the shape field, it will infer it as the last type having this field, which is really annoying in my opinion, because the type is already known through the other like inference mechanisms. The fact that it's trying to infer it using the lexical mechanism is just absolutely annoying. That's my complaint about it. Fuck Haskell. All right. Sure. I don't like Haskell. I mean, yeah. I can complain about Haskell too. But since I'm using OCaml right now, can I complain about OCaml a little bit too? Just annotate it then? Yes, but then like that's what I'm saying. I need to annotate the type literally every time in every line, even although there is already enough information to infer the types. Right? But I need to do it in every line. And that is so annoying. Like, isn't the type inference there so that I don't have to annotate it in every line? Like, I already annotated it here in this function. But that's not enough. Right? This over here should be enough information. I mean, there is actually enough information even without this, but... Usually when Haskell couldn't infer the type, I always annotated it, everyone clapped, and my day went on. Yeah. I mean, it's okay to not be able to infer the type sometimes, but OCaml literally cannot infer it every time. Whenever I initialize a struct with a field. All right. Yeah, I just want to over here to like log the error. Error. How do I do an error in interpreter? Let me check. Or is it like interpreter error? I'm not sure. Let me check how I'm doing it in other places. It's just error.error. Okay. So over here I just do error.error. Color. Expected. A type argument. I don't need to expose this as a function then. I'm going to inline this here. This value has the value generic types has type string, types type shape into type shape list, but an expression will express type string type into type shape. Yes, because this should be expect type and then into I guess I do have the error. Function overall. Because over here, I'm also going to say type inference fast inference. Inference type inference bar. Okay, here is the question. Do I await inferred? Maybe. All right, there we go. This is done. And this, and also like somehow, somewhat, for some reason, when I'm writing on Camel, I'm introducing like 50 levels of indentation. Should I try to simplify it somehow? Let's do this. Let's remove some indentation. Also, the OCaml formatter is weird. You see how over here we have an indentation of a single space? Over here we have indentation of a single space. And then in the next thing, we have indentation of 4 spaces. Over here we have 4 spaces of indentation. Over here we have 2 spaces of indentation. It's just RNG. It is what it feels like. The amount of indentation levels. Don't use formatters. Do you not use formatters when writing code? No, I don't want to format the code myself. That's a lot of work. They are just making things concurrent that are already independent of one another. They wouldn't affect stuff that you classically solve with mutexes. Is the pillar of mutexes or mutices? So what I heard is their language, the PAR language, they cannot have deadlocks. Is one of the properties of the language, the way they do the language. They cannot have deadlocks, apparently. Which probably means that they don't do mutexes in a classical way. But can they express every concurrent program? Yeah, I did not try the language. I don't know if I will. It seems interesting, so I should, I think, but... You know... Why would anyone need LSP when they have a compiler? Is that Did you forget a kappa there? Or do you really write programs without an LSP? Do you even need a compiler? Just write assembly directly. And I mean, assembly still needs to be compiled into machine code, so maybe you write that directly. How about that? Okay, native unwind token. Unwind token expected a type argument. So this over here, this must be a type, by the way. So I need a type. There we go. So now unwind unit is a type. It's a type which is the unwind token of nothing. Right? If I say let x of type unwind unit be something, I cannot see it. Wait, how do I make it be seen the value of it? Because it's a const. If something is a const and it is a type, should I show it in the hover, the actual value of this type? What is this type? Maybe. I guess I can see it if I have a function. If I have a function like something of type unwind unit into unit like this, then if I hover this, then it shows me the actual type. Okay, so that works. Yes. Does do other languages do that though? Like, let me see. If I say, for example, like let's try OCaml here directly, right? So if I say something like type foo is equal to you know, like int times string, then if I hover on foo here, yeah, that's what it says, right? It says type foo is int times string. So maybe I should do something like this. What does it show like in Rust? If I have maybe over here. Do you have the Rust analyzer? LSP info. There is no Rust analyzer working right now. Wait, what? Rust analyzer. Oh, it's not installed. Is it part of this thing? Rust analyzer. I don't know if they have a Holy Grail, but if they do, it comes with 20 minutes of comp time. I don't know if that's true. About PAR. PAR is probably just a simple language which is exploring the this like type system stuff. I don't know if they are doing other features like allowing you to evaluate a lot of code at compile time. Like it doesn't have dependent types, for example, as far as I'm aware, right? That's where you explode your compile time to infinity, right? I think. Okay, I'm just wondering if I say here type foo is, because this is an alias, right? Type foo is i32, i64. If I hover this, that's what it says. It says, yeah, it says type foo is i32, i64. It's just similar. Creator has some talks about it, about the dependent types in PAR. Really? HVM, or are you talking about HVM bend? Are you talking between each other? You guys don't talk to me, right? Okay. The bend. Yeah, the HVM, I saw it a little bit. Well, last time I looked at the bend, it was like, it didn't have anything. It didn't have any IO. Does the bend language have IO at this point? Still dependencies. Like, can you actually run a program there at this point? Probably, right? Because last time I looked like a year ago or something. Maybe even more. Speed up examples. Examples. Like, all of these are just all of these are showing you the algorithms and no IO, right? It just shows you how to work with lists. It just returns the head. So like the main function just returns the head of the list. It's not even printing it to the console, right? Mind your own business, streamer. All right, let me go back. Okay, so yeah, there is one more thing that I can improve in my like hover this. When it's a type, I should say the actual value of this type. Not just that this is a type, right? I want to know what type is it. Okay. On the topic of dependent types, have I tried something like Idris? I tried it like for 5 minutes, but maybe I should have tried it more. There's also Lean. I have been like reading about dependent types. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have them in my language. But I didn't really try to write a program with dependent types. Okay, anyway, let me go forward. This is a native wind token for the type. Yeah, so the next thing here, I need to create a context system, right? Okay. Okay, so what we need is to have a new type of I think it's going to be, first of all, a new type of a value. I think. Dependent types are very cumbersome to lower, I've heard. I don't know. I don't know. I think I need to have a new thing, which is called a context type. Thanos staring at type and doc. I mean, the doc comment should be shown when I'm hovering the thing. Yes, for sure. I just don't have the doc comments at this point in the language. Stare Kuviman. Okay, so in my previous version, so let me talk about the context system a little bit if someone is not understanding what I'm trying to do here. We want to basically have the context system in the language, which is like which is something like a scoped global thing, where I can have the current value, right? And I can inject the context for a scope, right? So for example, I want to say that current string is going to be hello world, right? So now if I want to query it, I just query it by the type. That's how it was working in the previous version of this language. So we just set the current string to be hello world, and then we can query it, right? That's like the basic mechanism. We use it for like implicit arguments of functions, for like the effect handlers and stuff like that, basically. So context in the languages with effect systems, for example, would be just the like the effect handlers, for example, right? So in order to use an effect, you need to be in the context which has the effect handler available, right? And then you would be able to retrieve the effect handler like this, basically. It's like a more low-level mechanism than the effect, kind of. So the effect is a combination of the context system plus like some other systems. Why do you need to explicitly define them? How difficult is it to make your own language? It's depending on the language that you're trying to make. If you are trying to just make something simple and small like Lua, I guess that should be really simple. It's terribly hard, don't do it. Yeah, it's also just hard anyway, even for the simple language, I guess, like Lua. It still is very difficult. So yeah, it will consume you indeed. Something 10 days, JavaScript something. Yeah. See, like JavaScript was made in 10 days. So yeah. Why do you need to explicitly define the effects? That's a good question. Yes, that's a good question. So in my language, we have like this a different thing. Instead of having the functions having effects, right? Instead of having functions having effects, I have function having context, which means that, so like over here, right? Main is a function with IO. IO is not an effect. IO is a context, which allows you to do IO. It's similar, but it's not really effect, because the effect systems, they like, they allow you to do too much, kind of, right? Sometimes the context is as simple as just having a variable that you can read, right? You know, it doesn't need to be done with delimited continuations and other things. So we kind of just allow any type to be here, really. The difference between my previous version and this version is I think I still want them to be named. So they're going to be a little bit different than just pure types, because sometimes I want like this is what was working before. I could just set the current string to be hello world, right? But what if I wanted to have another string, right? Then I would need to create a new type. So instead of having a new type, I will just add names to the things. And that's what the purpose of the context type is going to be, I guess. Does it have a runtime cost? Supposedly, not really. I haven't really thought too much about the implementation, but I'm not my context system is more closer to the Jai context system, if you are familiar with that. So it's literally just basically a global variable that is a little more statically checked, I guess, or something. So I'm pretty sure that in Jai the contexts are not being passed around explicitly. Or are they? So on one hand, the context, they are kind of like implicit arguments, but at the same time, I don't think you need to pay the cost of passing it as an argument explicitly. You can store it as a global variable, kind of. It's not like exactly global, it's like because of like threads and stuff, right? It's part of like the current task, but you store it somewhere. You don't, I feel like you don't need to put it into every function call. Not enough programming language in the world, such a relief, you are fixing that. Yes. Exactly. Is there, can I read anywhere? You're a peasant with no access? I don't have the access to. I just have access to this GitHub Jai community. I only read about Jai. I didn't use it. Jai has a first-class concept of context, which is always present and accessible, but beyond being a simple global state variable, yeah, it's just a simple global state variable. I'm pretty sure it's not being passed. It is being passed as a function argument implicitly in the other language, which is called Odin. This is where they have the context, which is passed implicitly, and that has an overhead. But I think in Jai they don't have the overhead, because it's literally just a global variable. All right, anyway, that's what I'm going to do. So so we have the context type and the context value context type. And the value context type is basically just a type plus an ID, I think, so that we can treat same types as different contexts, kind of. Hello, Devninya. You mean overhead in memory in this case? But why is it an overhead? Like, you still need to create a variable. I don't think it's any overhead still. Like, overhead comparing to what? Comparing to not having the thing at all? But if you don't use it? Well, if you don't use it, then why do you have it? Right? So the only, basically, the only, like, actual, like, overhead is when you inject it, so when you create the context and when you use it. In between, in all of the intermediate functions, there is supposed to be no overhead. So if you never use it, then the only overhead is creating it, which is a one-time thing, usually, right? And if you, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I guess it kind of like depends on the actual implementation in the language. I think I will actually probably implement it as an implicit argument at first, and not as a global variable, and that is going to have the overhead, for sure. That's how I did it in my previous version when I was transpiling to JavaScript. So yeah, we'll see. But I'm pretty sure that like long term, I can make it like 0 overhead. The type of context type is, so now since this is a value, I need the type for it, and the type is going to be context type. This one just without any extra data associated with it. When I'm doing the inference, I need context types. Only match with context types. In the transpiler, we don't transpile this. Speed completion. For context type, this is just determining the icon for the context type. What do we have? We have a type parameter, operator, event, struct, constant, file, snippet, keyword, enum, value, property, module, interface, field. This just determines the icon that the editor shows to you when you're hovering an item or something. Oh, that's for auto-completion. Yeah, in auto-completion you have icons. I don't know, we just keep it still as a type. Sure. Hello? There's a syntax error. And line 33. Where is it? Where is the syntax error? Syntax error? Okay, what's the syntax error? Anyone see the syntax error here? I don't see it. Oh, now it's not there? I don't know. Oh, Camel being stupid again? As a unit, maybe? There was no unit here, right? No, there is a unit. What's a unit? What's a unit usually? That's not about the unit type, because that's like the LSP protocol. 1 second. Open the door. I need to go open the door in a second, but we have the completion item. And for every completion item, I can do the kind. Yes, the kind. Completion item kind. So this is it. There is no documentation of what like these things actually mean. So yeah. And then the icons that they show are depending on the editor. I don't know how to get like the preview of all these icons. Yeah, I just do a type here, whatever. So this works. This works. I have introduced the type of a context and the context itself. The next thing that I need to do is to implement this keyword context. Context of type unwind unit, I guess. So I think what I need to do is create a new syntax for the context for context. That's for creating context. Let's call it create context. So it's just context followed by space, followed by the type of the context, right? Let's call it type. Maybe this is priority 1 good enough. Trying to compile error node. Let me see. Cast, parse, examples, guess a number. Unexpected add context. Add context. Oh, yeah, this priority doesn't work. Yeah, this priority doesn't work because it's above the... It's more priority than the equals. Yes. So somewhere near comp time and stuff. Over here, priority 9, I guess. Okay, so this has been parsed. Now I need to implement this syntax in the language. Comp time. This comp time current block. Why does it still not parse properly though? Like it should be parsing at least this file. Right? It says unexpected semicolon over here. Unwind. Oh, because unwind. Yeah. Unwind this with unit. That's it. There you go. And now we have the formatter working again. Okay, nice. That's what we want. And I think for current I will use @current, because current is a good variable name, which means that I will need to be able to retrieve the current context. We have create context and we have current context. I also will need to inject context. That's the with keyword, right? Inject context, current context, create context. This is create context type, I guess. Current context is current. Context type, I guess. And inject context is going to be with. That was the original. Maybe we keep that for now. Wait, no. I want the syntax to be different now, because I want the syntax to be with context type to be equal to the value. That's what I want. And this is current context type. There we go. Priorities we'll figure out. Yeah, so there we go. We now have with is highlighted as a keyword here with loop block. Trying to compile error node. Unexpected equal. Wait, do I still have with? No. Oh, maybe it's because it's think it's like that it's a function. Probably not though. It says unexpected equal here. Even though it says with context type. Oh, it's because this doesn't work. I need to space to be in separate things like that. Okay, there we go. Now there is no core syntax inject context. There is no syntax current context. So I need to implement these three things now. Create context type, inject context, and retrieve in the current context. Okay. So so we go to the core syntax. Okay, let's create context type. Inject context and current context. The language server, AvoCamel, is struggling. Create context type. Let's start with that because that one is easy. So for create context type, we just have the single type argument here. Unwrap single named type. That's going to be the type. Create context type must be an expression. So I'm going to have create context type must be an expression. Wait, I think that's not what I need. For creating the context type, just create the function that constructs the type, that constructs the value as a native function. So I think this is not like core syntax. This is just a syntax sugar for me calling the native function called create context type. Create context type. Let's see. Syntax. I just implement syntax context type as type is a keyword, of course. Type that's going to be native create context type with type as argument. That's it. So then it's not the core syntax. Inject context, though, is going to be the core syntax, and current context is going to be a syntax, and we're going to have expressions for those. Let me just remove this for now. Inject context is going to have a context unwrap named to context type and value. So this is going to be context type and value. Okay. Inject context, current context. Current context just needs the context type. Okay. And then natives in the interpreter. Let's see, we have a native function. Native function. The argument is a type. The result is the context type. Maybe I restart the Camel language server. It's really laggy right now. So this is going to be called create context type. Each argument shape with a type. Type. Create context type, expected a type. Let type is type variable, inference variable, await inferred. No, it does not need to be inferred. I just create the shape to be equal to value context type, where we have a type and the ID is just a new ID. ID on. You can do it, OCaml. OCaml wasn't really struggling that much previously. Is it like starting to struggle after a certain size of a project or whatever? Why is it so slow? Why am I using so much CPU right now? Is it just the OBS? Wait, there is a Rust compile. Yeah, OCaml LSP. Wait, I have two OCaml language servers. One of them is using 1.7 gigabytes of RAM, and another one is using 1.5 gigabytes of RAM. Look at this over here. Can I show the real numbers here instead of percentages? Why can I not search in this help window? There's no way I can not, right? Bottom. Show full RAM in units instead of percent. Memory's value is true. Wait, in the config? What, really? It just says memory use percentage by default. I have to configure it actually. Okay, interesting. But anyway, yeah, my OCaml LSP is using 3 gigabytes of RAM right now. I have this other thing that is showing it. Alright, whatever. Create context type is a function. Restart language server. Guess a number. No, restart cast language server. So this should work already, right? Yeah, so loop block. Wait, this says it's an error. Wait, why is it an error? That makes no sense. Context is this. Loop block is an error. The error is only in this case. No, this is already working. Context unwind unit. But if it's an error, shouldn't I receive an error and see it in my editor? Cast, compile, samples, guess a number. Okay. Cast, run. Could not find type in scope. Oh, okay, that makes sense, I guess. Yeah, because this is a macro. So this must be like unquoted like this. That makes sense, actually. So now this is a context type. Okay, nice. This is type, this is context type. All right. Now injecting and retrieving the context. We'll need a two new things in the language. Over here, I need expression inject context of expression inject context, and I need expression current context of expression current context. Okay, expression inject context needs to inject the context of context type being yeah, so context type must be known at compile time here, so it's going to be value context type, and then value is just another expression, and expression current context is going to be context type is a value current context type. Okay. Print. Okay, print. If I have expression inject context type and value, then I'm going to printf magenta inject context okay, so context type is this. And value is that, right? So I have a print context type and print expression value. And we have a current context, which just has the context type. We just print context type, current context, like so. And what is print context type? And print context type is formatter into value context type into unit is function fmt id context type into, I already have it. This is what I print. That's what I do. Okay, next. Wait, line 24. Print context type FMT. What am I using as backend? Hello. Currently, the language has the interpreter and work in progress OCaml transpiler. Transpiler into OCaml. There was one previous version when I was transpiling to JavaScript. And in the future, I'm planning to do some form of a native backend somehow. There is multiple options, and it's likely to be CraneLift, I think. There is also other alternatives that I. There was one other, like, is it QBE? Yeah, QBE compiler backend that aims to provide 70% of performance for 10% of the code, just for it being simple, right? I don't think I'm going to do LLVM, at least not like in the beginning. And another thing that I was considering is just generating assembly directly. That's for the native thing. Be like Idris 2, use Racket or Scheme. Is Idris 2 has a Racket as backend? Is that what you're saying? Idris. What would make you not use LLVM? Just curious. I'm going away from LLVM myself. Well, as far as I understand, LLVM is just like complex. It's also one of the slowest things. So in order to have fast compile times, that's why you want something different than LLVM. LLVM is really good if you want a fast native builds, which is not going to be my priority. So my priority is just having good enough stuff. At some point, maybe LLVM backend, like if the language is actually good and usable, right? Then I might do the LLVM for that extra performance. APIs, dog water for LLVM, yeah. So for that reason, something like QBE or CraneLift. QBE and CraneLift. These two things is what I would consider. I don't know if there is any other alternatives. Other than generating the machine code yourself. JavaScript, Racket, or Scheme. I think they used LLVM for C for the first version, but they don't have enough manpower to optimize their compiler to machine level. Okay, and that's why Idris is really slow. Yeah, I think I think one of the first one of my first priorities kind of is being able to run the code in browser. So targeting JavaScript is actually making a lot of sense instead of targeting native. Oh yeah, one of the other alternatives is generating C code, by the way. I don't need to use LLVM or whatever. If I can just generate C code and then use whatever C compiler, right? That's another alternative. In this current version, I was trying to target OCaml directly, so transpile my code into OCaml. This, because my language is written in OCaml, the idea is that I will be able maybe to rewrite the language in itself incrementally by rewriting just part of it. transpiling that into OCaml and then using that from existing OCaml code base, you know? That's the only reason. Other than that, OCaml probably is not really like a very nice compiling target. But OCaml is also fast to compile, so maybe like because of that, it's a good compilation target. And also OCaml can be compiled into JavaScript, which is going to allow me to run code in the browser still, even if I target OCaml. So yeah, that's my thinking here. What's your language, Octolide? You have a friend who made his language generate C code, pretty valid option. Yeah, like there's a lot of languages do that. C and JavaScript are very, very common compilation targets, I think, right? C even more common. Your language is Mac. Sounds like I heard about it before. You could just put a link. I don't have a bot that would ban you. I ban people manually, and also you have a 404 here because you have a typo in your own name. All right. Let's see. Statically typed, compiled, simple, fast, verbose, and intuitive. Nice. You have 74 stars. I'm pretty sure that we have 74 stars too. So, yeah, exactly 74 right now. If that is any metric. But your readme is a lot better than my readme, of course. I probably only have stars because I'm streaming. Are you streaming? Simple examples. I mean, I don't know. Brief looks just like C, basically. Is it safe? Like, it says simple, fast, verbose, and intuitive. Do you have you're referencing Rust here? Do you have a borrow checker? Because you have safety. Oh, Mac is not safe. Okay, there we go. It's not safe. It's not flexible. It doesn't have features. Mac is explicit and verbose. All right. But you say so in my opinion, you are here's the thing that is catching my eye. You say maintainability, but then it's not safe. But how do you maintain something that is unsafe? That's like, in my opinion, is weird. Because when I see maintainability, I want a good type system that like this. Maintainability means to me the good type system that prevents as much bugs as possible, which includes safety. Like when you are saying that something is the responsibility of a programmer, it's already reducing from maintainability, in my opinion. Third year in computer science and I still haven't gotten a language and compiler course. Is the idea of making a program language to make a compiler that understands certain syntax and concepts and optimizes them? Making a programming language doesn't mean that it needs to optimize anything, I guess, technically. Making a programming language just means that you have a programming language that your like compiler or interpreter can understand and run. Compilation is also optional. Look at Linux kernel, people still maintain it and it's not safe. Yeah, I guess like maintainability is like different because like I am also thinking that like this is the core like value of my language. But I guess people understand maintainability differently. And same with simplicity, right? So you say simplicity, for example, but simplicity as an easy to learn is completely different from being simple to maintain and simple to read and write, because like, especially since you say that your language is explicit and verbose, isn't that sometimes that is the opposite of being simple, right? Explicit verbose means that like I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it's a C-like language, Zig-like language, Go-like language, sure. Nice, I guess. But we have different things that we're after. The type system extremely verbose, and the semantics of the language encourage safe patterns in general, more so than C. Yeah. So like when you say safe, it's like safer than C, right? Like Zig is also not a safe language, but it is safer than C, right? But it is less safe than Rust. Why is Zig so popular when we have Nim? I guess Nim is like also like a bloated language kind of. So Zig is simple. There's a lot of people who like these like simple languages, right? I personally don't understand why being a simple to learn language is a good thing, but yeah. It's easier to visually parse and maintain because of that. Explicit memory management patterns enforced by the compiler isn't mandatory for that. Look at Zig, for example. Wait, but Zig has explicit memory management. Right? Just hello. All right, let me get back to where I was. And where was I? Over here. I'm inserting new types of expressions, the context expressions. It has an allocator pattern. Yeah, but it is still explicit, right? But that's not enforced by the compiler like borrow checking is. It's just a stylization. Yeah, true. That is true. But it still is explicit, right? Isn't safer than C actually quite a low bar to fix? I mean, yeah. It is. Pretty low bar. Technically not explicit, but that's a big technically. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. But like you do like pass the allocator explicitly, which is more explicit than and you call the allocator explicitly too, right? So how more explicit can you get even? Is it not that explicit because you don't call the malloc explicitly? Because it's behind an abstraction of the allocator API? You basically wanted C was a better syntax and ecosystem. I feel like I've gotten that. Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure. But I feel like there's a lot of like better than C languages. So you're competing with Zig, basically, right? You're competing with, there's another language. What is it? C3, right? C3 lang. Of course. Internal server error. Wait, what? It's not even showing to me. A website is down. Is it down? It's maybe... Wait. It's not the website. It's something... Something else. Probably. I don't know. But yeah, there is Zig and C3. Mainly currently as the competitors for C specifically. Is there any other ones? Maybe. Нет. Polyglot OpenStreet. Oh, нет, так нет. Alright. What is this? I need to go to interpreter. Okay, so I need to define how to interpret the new expressions that I just introduced. Expression, inject context. Context, type, and value. This is going to return a unit always. An expression of a current context. Let's return error for now. This just takes the context type. So I need to store the context somewhere, and I need to retrieve them. All right, interesting. I'm definitely competing with those languages. I have differences that would make at least me choose my language over those, and that's enough for me. And those things is nothing in my language is black boxed at all. If you want to see why or how something works, just go to the source file. Even the standard runtime is defined in Mac itself and is included in source. So as to distract you. Now you're not really distracting, it's fine. I like being distracted. But yeah. Personally, I don't know why I would use those languages. So I don't know. I don't know what else to tell you. So which probably means that I will not really like, is there any like unique features? Like, for example, Zig compared to C, it has the comp time. That's the interesting feature of Zig. That's really nice. And that is something that I have in my language too. Even although my language is not trying to compete with C at all. Context type value. All right, so I was thinking of using like the actual, since my interpreter is done with OCaml, I can use the effect system for the contexts. Is one option. Another option is to another option is to always have in the interpreter the contexts. Yeah, maybe I do that instead. So we have interpreter state. Interpreter has a state, right? There you go. We have state and we have a scope. And scope, this is specifically the interpreter scope. Interpreter scope, yes. Interpreter scope. Interpreter scope has locals, it has parent, and it should have the contexts that are available in my current scope. Yes. We have mutable contexts. That's just going to be ID map. ID. No fancy features, which is kind of the feature in of itself. The future, the main thing will be self-embedding once I got the SH compiler done. What's an SH compiler? Self-hosted compiler, okay. I have plans for a really effective interpreter system that makes embedding Mac inside itself far cleaner than a lot of languages. Interesting. I don't know what that means though. Interpreter system. When you say interpreter system, so you are going to have, in addition to the compiler, you're also going to have the interpreter, right? And if you have that, then you can easily implement comp time for your language too, I suppose. Since you already will have the interpreter, you can just use that to drive the compile time. Which degree do I have? I'm a dropout. Also REPL. Yeah. Oh, embedding Mach inside yourself. Oh, I see. So you mean like that you can use it as a scripted language, as an embedded scripted language, not just as a compiled C. I see. Or intended for things like scripting in Mach itself, which would be critical for applications like games. Yeah. Drop out? How and where did you learn coding by yourself? No, I dropped out at the end of a study, basically. But yeah, it would be, what, a master's degree, I guess, if I finished. And also I was like programming on as a hobby like forever. And I was doing a lot of competitive programming too. While I was masters. I don't know if it actually is masters, like, because it's between the countries is different, but I think it's the alternative of master's degree. Is it something impressive? Because I don't think it is, right? It's just a normal degree from the university. Master degree normally requires the previous study of the bachelor's level. Yeah. Yeah, I was like studying for 5 years, not 4 years. There was like, I think they switched this time. So there are no master's degrees here, and like there's only bachelor's now too. Or something, I'm not sure. Which language you have specialized in, Java or C++? I've been working in Java for a long time, and also I've been using Rust for like 10 years, both as a hobby and professionally. But I wouldn't say that I am specialized. I just like trying a lot of languages. I tried a lot of them. Which university you went to? Does it matter? You skipped college entirely and even dropping out after 5 is amazing. The bachelor took me 5 years, but I was working full-time since 3rd year. I'm a software engineer too, did MCA in India. What's MCA? MCA. What do I even look for? Is it a degree? Oh, Master in Computer Applications. Is that what it means? Is that a master's degree? Basically. All right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if it matters what the degree is, because most of the things that I did was like I wouldn't say that the university was really like it really mattered much. I didn't learn anything there, I would say. Almost nothing. Most of the things that I learned myself. Or like one of the things that was useful in university, I was doing the competitive programming. That was useful, yes, but that's like irrelevant to the actual courses, I guess. Pum 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 pum. All right, so I'm introducing the contexts in the interpreter scope. Do you have something like ID map? Competitive programming is prerequisite nowadays to get into the job market. Yeah, I guess. They ask you competitive programming tasks on every interview. Yes, that's basically what it is. But usually job interviews are like they're like very simple level, right? Like lead code or whatever. Competitive programming, when we talk about that, it's usually like something more involved, you know. Maybe. I need the context to be a map from an ID into a value. How do I do that? Have a big project like a language like this is probably the single best thing you can do for a job. Interviews are almost always a formality and related to personality. They decided that they would be willing to hire you already if you had an interview. I was rejected a job once because I'm doing because I had like a project that I wanted to keep working on in my spare time, and they said they rejected the job for me because they said they don't want me to work after work. So not always a project like language is a good thing for getting a job. Yeah. I had an interview with Blizzard once, and they wanted me to reverse a string without using length, and I couldn't do it. Had a question to ping pong, concurrent thread, synchronization, finding memory leak, and other two questions, or only. All right. So I am in OCaml. I don't remember how I'm pretty sure that I did that before. But it seems like I don't have an ID map. Maybe it was in my previous version or whatever. Or maybe I'm using a hash. I was using like hash tables. Am I using hash tables anywhere? Custom syntax impulse. Yeah, this is the hash map from ID. Yeah. So I can use a hash table then. Because it's a mutable field anyway. Yeah, maybe I just do that. So context is not mutable, it's just hash table from ID into a value. Pum 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 pum. Steady reverse, str begin, str end is not the solution for reversing a string without using length. One second. Okay, so I have a hash table here and the interpreter scope, and then for the interpreter. Loppy Gorley. Interpreter scope. So what is this? With values, parent values, locals, parent. We just say that context is hash table create 0. Suggested size n. Yes. I think 0 is a good suggested size. Or you can use the linked list, but that's a downright bad solution. I don't know what they expected from Justin to reverse a string without using length. Yes, use the existing reverse function. I don't know. That's also not using length, right? It also depends on the language, I guess. As the interpreter. So when I enter the scope, I just yeah, this just creates a new scope, and the contexts are table create. Okay. I need something like this, right? So I'm already finding the oh wait, no, that's wrong. Wait, no. Contexts are having different scoping than these scopes, right? Yes, right. Yes. Context scopes are different because contexts are scoped to the by the call. Context, not lexically. Yes, I'm doing different thing. Maybe I am being distracted a little bit by the talks, but it's fine. So it's not a part of the interpreter scope. It's more like a call stack, and a call stack is going to contain like the things for me. Yeah. And I think an actual map so that I don't walk up the stack but look up in the map directly would be more efficient. So let's actually have ID and a map. I have a module map is map.make. What's the convention to do that in OCaml? You just include t and you make this in module t so that I can use this t inside of a map make. Right? ID map. I was not using that before. So now we have the ID map. Penguin operator, welcome back. So I guess it's not part of the scope, but if it's not part of the scope, then it is part of just interpreter state. Somewhere, let's see. Cast interpreter. So this is the interpreter state. It holds all the natives, and it holds the current scope. Wait, why do I hold all the natives here? Okay, I mean whatever, sure. Like this is just the immutable state, kind of. And this is my scope, and I guess just context. Context is just here inside of the state. So there's going to be ID map from ID into value. Yes, that's it. So when I initialize, I say that context is ID map make ID map empty. There we go. And when I enter scope, whenever I enter scope, I need to wait, no, but yeah, hold on. When I enter scope, nothing really happens. When I exit scope, I should restore the old contexts. Which is why this field is actually going to be mutable. And when I'm entering scope, I'm saying that scope, so that context is state context. Is that right? I'm kind of making it like difficult for myself because I'm using like somewhat an imperative syntax where I say like with context do this, right? Instead of like with context do this kind of thing. So what I do after injecting the context is not part of the same like node. Similarly to how I introduce the variables. Unlike, you know, Camel, we do like a let in. State texts. I think this is going to work, but this might we might have an issue with that at some point. Like if for some reason. Wait, no, actually it's not going to be an issue because even though I'm going to mutate this context later, this context is just saving the old version anyway. So yeah, it doesn't matter. No, I'm not going to have any issues. I think this is fine. I just have a mutable context here. And when I'm entering a scope, I'm just copying the current state, the current context. Yeah, I think that makes sense. And then the question is, what is happening when I'm like calling a function right now? Expression call. Wait, do I not have expression call? It's apply, right? Expression apply. Function implementation, color is this, that's for native function. Over here, we're waiting the new state. Yeah, so new state is state with this, right? Which also is going to copy my current context. Actually, yeah, when I'm doing this in OCaml, I say state with this. Since this is the same field, it's not going to do... This is not needed, right? It's just copying it automatically. I think it's fine. JPix, hello. How is it going? I read you a couple days ago. Yeah. What were you doing? Learning C? Is that you? We're learning C. I don't remember. We like reading at the end of streams. Yeah, you were learning something for sure. How's your learning going? I'm making here a programming language of my own. You're learning about Rust, not C. Yeah. Okay. Rust is a good language. I like Rust. That's a good choice of a language to learn. How's it going? How much are you fighting the borrow checker, or are you not fighting about, or are you not fighting it at all? Because because I hear a lot of people are fighting the borrow checker. I don't remember when I was learning Rust that borrow checker was really a big issue. Like it kind of made sense to me like from the beginning. I just needed to get used to it, or maybe getting used to it is fighting. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think I have had a lot of issues with it. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, let me try making some more progress. Yes, actually, yeah, I'm doing the interpreter inject context. So now when I'm injecting context, the only thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to do this. I'm going to have the state, and the state context is going to be updated. I'm going to insert the new value there, right? So ID map add. For the ID of the current context type, I'm adding the value there. That's it. That's what I want. Nice. And I'm adding this to the current state contexts, like so. Field access. This expression has type, expression, ID map t, but expression. Let's go have type that. Oh yeah, because value first needs to be evaluated when I'm injecting it, right? So value is evaluate state token state evaluate state value, right? Just like that. So we evaluate the value and then we put that value into the context map. Makes sense. Borrow checker is kind of easy, but async, yeah, async is probably if you are just learning Rust, I would suggest just keeping yourself away from async. I am abusing async though whenever I use Rust, but yeah, it's definitely a difficult thing. My language is called Cast, not Zig. Cast over here. And I am going to have something similar to Rust borrow checker at some point in it. But for now, the language is pretty simple. I am working mostly on the language server. Actually, let me change this. I'm no longer working on the language server. I'm doing implementing context system. Rust has some good libraries for async stuff, but forgot the name. Yeah, but it is still difficult. I guess you are thinking about something like Tokyo. That's the async library for Rust. Okay, injecting context is simple, and then current context is just going to be... I need to look in this map. So ID map, find opt context type ID in the state contexts. Current, so value. I guess I'm going to match this with, if it is some value, then value. And if it's none, then I'm going to return the error. But I need to over here to log. So like technically the context system should be like checked at compile time. But for now, I'm just going to do it runtime checked. Just like in OCaml, I guess. We just do ID. No, we just say error. Error. Span. Expressions data span. Context unavailable. Like this, and then we return the error. Okay, I think this is mainly it. Now I just need to initialize the type inference for these expressions. So when I have expression inject context type and value, I need to have this should return what? Oh, this is just returning the type. Yeah, the type of this is just a unit. Yep. And then whenever I add current context type, then the type of this expression is the type of the context, right? So we have context type dot type. That's it. All right. Yeah, Tokyo and X6, but still, in case your project growing, you should keep all threads in your head, in my opinion. That's hard because I used to use a couple of threads in real life. What to eat and what to do, and there are more in project. I'm gonna go crazy. I don't know. Not really my experience. I don't know, why would you need to keep the all the things in your head? Rust is actually the language that is doing a good job with making you not think too much about the details that are irrelevant to your current task, because like a lot of the bugs that you would make are prevented at compile time, thanks to like the borrow checker, which is preventing like race conditions and other things when we talk about threads. So you technically just need to think about the current thread. And yeah, I don't know. The next error that I need to fix is... so now we go to the LSP stuff already. And this is just traversing the tree of expressions. Handling the inner expressions here. So if I have expression, inject context, context type, and value. Context type is not an expression, so we ignore that, but value is the inner expression. So we do handle expression value here. And if I have expression current context, context type, I also just don't do anything here. Kuvi, did you ever considered using a zipper? What's a zipper? That's like a thing on your jeans, on your pants. What do you mean, a zipper? I mean, yeah, I think that's what it is, right? I don't know. Zipper data structure. Okay. Oh my god. Is there a dark mode? There is. A zipper is a technique of representing the aggregate data structure so that it is convenient to write programs in that traverse the structure arbitrarily and update its content. Especially in purely functional programming language. Okay. I see. You are saying this because I'm traversing the tree of the things? Yeah. For traversing manipulation trees, there's like a type class for that in Haskell. Haskell zipper. It's not called zipper though, I'm pretty sure. Or maybe it is zipper? I don't know. I remembered something that allow like just traversable, no? It isn't just called traversable. Reversible. Haskell. Isn't that basically a zipper? Or zipper is a specific data structure? And traversable is like the interface? It just gives you the traverse method and the fmap. Cast OCaml transpiler over here. When I'm transpiling current contexts, for now, I'm not working on transpiler. I will come back to this later. Expression, inject context, fail, to do inject context, and types current context, to do current context. Just fail with lock, actually. That's a to do. Zipper contains like left, a focus and right, and provides left, right, up, and down. Okay. I don't think I need that here though. Inject context must be expression. Wait, what? Comp time this. What do you mean inject context must be expression? Oh, I think... yeah, I need to implement this now in the core context or syntax. I need to say over here, if I have the inject context expression, then I need to create expression inject context, where we have the context type being context type and value being value, into initialize expression. Span C state. Okay, we say that context type is compiler evaluate. I evaluate the type, which is context type. I evaluate the context type like this. This gives me context type and context type expression. Evaluated expressions is context type expression. Go to sports. See you later. See you, Penguin. Imagine you write a programming language and you don't know about the errors it can throw and ask public, what do you mean? Yeah. This should be type is this. It's state. Evaluate. Oh, I need to give it a module. Module C. There we go. You never told me you love me. All right. Now it's getting weird. I'm trying to focus. I'm trying to write a program. Like, I've been writing this thing for an hour and I made 0 progress. Okay, let me focus for a little bit. I'm almost there. The context system is almost working. Okay. The over here, context type is a value, and then this is a value. I'm going to match context type shape with let context type be. If it is actually a context type, then I get the context type, and if it's not, then like it somehow was evaluated to not a context type. I need to like invent my own context type, kind of. Or maybe not, actually. No, if it's not, then I just return the error here, right? Yeah. I just do init error span C state kind, like this. I don't do that. And I just initialize this over here. Okay, so now context type is actually a value context type, which I called context tie. Sure. And then value. So what is value? Value is going to be the value just compiled. There must be an expression, right? Yeah. And then the expression, these expressions type should be the type of the context. Okay, so we say value is compiler dot. Why is autocompletion not working? Like, OCaml language server is so bad. I don't remember how to do this. Just c.compile. Okay, c compile. C compile. Where is my autocompletion? Nothing works. C compile. State compiled kind AST. I just compile. Kind. I compile an expression value. There we go. That's all that I need to do. Right? That's injecting context, and then for and then for getting the current context, I also need to evaluate the context type, and then we just do the current context. Just don't have the value here. Okay, that should work. Let's try. It says block not found over here. Unwindable block. With a loop block is block. Block is not found. Is AW East 1 down again? Is that what happened? Is that why my is that why the C3 website was not opening? Oh, it's opening now. Okay, maybe it's up again or something. There was some issue previously. Block is not found. Why is block not found? That makes no sense. Because this only exists right now in the compiler scope. No, but that's fine. Hold on. Hold on. Comp time block. Block not found. Okay, that doesn't work. Okay, so why does that not work? With loop block being block. Current loop block context is unavailable. Yes, it is not available because it was not injected here, which makes sense because it was not found. Comp time with loop block being block. Block is not found. Where are we looking for block? It is an interpreter error that block is not found. By the way, it's not a compiler error, right? So I was compiling this successfully. It found the block, but the block is not available at runtime. I think I understand why, because so like because we are doing some comp time stuff here. It means that the block should be available in the interpreter that we use for comp time, and maybe I just forgot to insert it, right? We have the thing that's called inject bindings, right? Inject bindings. This state scope inject binding, right? But compiler state includes interpreter, and I should, when injecting a binding, when I'm injecting a binding, I should not only change the compiler scope, but also the interpreter scope. I need to say state interpreter. Scope. Cloudflare was having issues earlier. Yeah. We do interpreter, scope. Cast interpreter, scope. Am I not like scope T module scope is scope so that it's exported. Cast interpreter scope dot add local, right? So I need to add a new local thing. Even is it down right now? Is down. I guess it is. Add local. Span is binding dot span, I guess. Symbol is binding dot name. And value. And the value is going to be, so we need to have like first class bindings as values, which I'm not sure that I have right now. Very shape is value binding. I don't think I have it, but I should. So this means basically we should be able to evaluate code with some variables not actually having values right now. It's called free variables or whatever. In actually like compiler theory, I think. Funny joke, since Kans doesn't have function file system functionality on runnable currently, but it was before, right? So it could have been written previously. And I mean, we do have file system functionality since I can print stuff to the standard output and get input from the standard input. It means that you can just pipe it to a file, and then that's how you access the file system or something. Right? Okay, what's the problem here? The problem is that I need a semicolon here. What is this inject binding? Just that? Okay. I can also do here inject binding. Let's create this function. You know, let inject binding scope is add local binding span and all of that. Binding is of type binding. Scope is of type scope. This returns unit. Okay, so now I need to have a new type of value, which is a binding, which is a value without a value. A variable without a value. The binding of binding. Print. If I'm printing binding, We have a print binding function. Binding. And binding. Like that. Bum 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 bum. Cast types. This is the type of a value, right? So the type of a binding is actually just binding type, which stored inside the binding already. Okay. Cast OCaml, transpiler, value binding, try to transpile binding value. Okay. Okay, it works. It works. What does this mean though? let's see what's going to happen if I try to run this example. It says that context is unavailable over here and guess a number over here. Current loop block. Okay. So why is this unavailable though? Context unavailable. Unwind. Yeah, this is the type. Hello, Nigel. With loop block being block. Restart language server. Context unavailable. So I have injected this into the current compile time context. Oh wait, I know why. It's because of this parenthesis. This parenthesis, they introduced a new scope. So I injected this. Into this scope, into this parenthesis. But I need to do just comp time with thing, you know? Or maybe I should. Yeah, I think that makes sense. But in order for this to work, I need the comp time to be lower priority than the with. So let's take a look at syntax. So comp time is priority 9. So yeah, inject context and current context, both of those should be higher. Let's do with this being the value. Let's try priority of 9.5 for this. Maybe. Let's try again. And it works. Okay, welcome to the guessing number game. The number has been picked. Guess 5. It's greater 7, less 6. I guessed. Okay, and then we have an interpreter error. It says unwind token has incorrect type. And it says guess again. So I'm not actually unwinding. I'm not exiting the game here after guessing. Over here, this has incorrect type. Unwind token has incorrect type. Unwind token has incorrect type. I know why, because I expected an unwind token, but this thing is actually a binding. That's right. That's what I was talking about before, because because this value compile time current loop block, right? This value is a binding, because at compile time the loop at compile time the block, this thing has not been created yet. So we have a variable that we're referencing here and that doesn't have. So I need either an explicit read binding or I need to do it implicitly. And I think let's for now do it explicitly. Read binding comp time this. Let's do it explicitly like that. Which means that I need another thing. Read binding Read binding could be a native function. Native read binding. No, it cannot be a function. It must be a core syntax, read binding. Okay. Syntax. Yes, syntax. Default rules. I don't know, let's have it near comp time. For read binding. Read binding. Let's do add read binding. And also let's do comp time with add comp time. I think that makes more sense. Add read binding, add comp time. Comp time. I don't know. It is too much adds though. We'll see. Okay, now there is just no core syntax for read binding. Core syntax. I need read binding. Wait, but then I don't need the comp time, kind of. Because the read binding needs to just evaluate the binding. Single, let's do just unnamed. This is the binding. I evaluate this. Maybe it should be just binding, like add binding. You know? Or binding. Not sure. So with the binding, it does need to be an expression, right? But let's for now, binding must be an expression. To do. Because I could do it in other places. And I say binding and binding expression is I need to evaluate it to a binding, but it's we don't know the type of it, so it's a not inferred type. And then the binding must be, we must evaluate here to a binding. And then we have expression binding. Binding. Which is then going to be just initialized like that. Yes. Oh, I guess I matched the kind not here then. Right? Because, yeah, match kind here with expression. Then we do expression. And then I can do the other things here too. If it is a pattern, then it is a pattern binding. Wait. That makes no sense. I cannot do pattern. I can only do type expression here, kind of. Type expression. I don't know. Maybe not. Let's just say that it must be expression. Because patterns must create new bindings. Using existing bindings for pattern is weird. I don't know. Let's try this. It's given an expanded read binding. Yeah, it's just binding. And then I just do into comp time. I do binding current loop block. Okay. It's a little weird. But this is the desugaring. It seems like I don't see any red errors in my thing. So let's try running it again. Greater 6, 7, I guessed. Okay, and it works. Okay. So the reason I was doing this is because I was going to implement the actual loops with breaks. So the way it works is that we have a compile time context, which is what is the current loop that I'm in. And then when I break, this is what the break is going to desugar into. It's going to desugar into unwinding the current loop block. Okay, and now I can easily implement this as an actual syntax sugar, right? So let's have a default syntax rules loop. So I think the core loop is going to be just like at loop here, and then the actual loop is going to be using a macro system. Right? So this is the desugaring with at loop. The entire thing. Let's see, and then the desugaring in syntax KS over here. I implement syntax loop body as unwindable block, and then we say comp time with loop block being block. What is syntax doing? Is syntax being included over here? It is. Okay. I'm wondering about like the scopes here and like the macro hygiene actually though. So we just do, then we like do the actual loop, we doesn't know about the contexts. And then inside of the loop here, we just do the body like this. And then we have implement syntax break. So just break is going to desugar into unwinding to the current loop block. I can say std loop block, for example. I'm not sure. We'll see. And in the syntax rules, I want also to be able to break. Break is just a break keyword. Okay, so this works, right? Here this works. And then will it work in actual example? Yes, a number. So instead of unwindable blocks, we just do normal loops. We just do loop. We don't do any of that. And instead of saying unwind to the current loop block, we just say break. Must implement rule before using it to loop. Oh, I implement syntax this loop, not that loop. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. I think it works. This looks cleaner now, like a normal programming language, right? Cast run. It doesn't run though, because field loop block is not there. That makes sense. Because I need to say what a loop block is. This thing belongs to std2. Std and we put it somewhere here. Five, two, three. You guessed, it works. Just when do you aim to be a normal programming language with cast? Well, it's not normal, right? Because in a normal programming language, this thing, the break, is just a normal keyword, right? Which is hard coded into the language. And for me, it's not. It's implemented using other base building blocks, right? So it's not normal. But I want it to look like normal. Kind of. Yes, I do. Why not? Why not make a language look normal? All right, that's a long that's a big change here. Context system and first class bindings and loop and break. Let me just commit that. Okay. The macro system, by the way, since like I was just writing this, it means that I have not implemented the macro hygiene yet. So there is actually no STD identifier available in this because this is part of the STD. And also it means that if there is actually a variable called block, then it will be overwritten, which is wrong. So let's have it as an example here. If I try to guess a number, but I say over here that block is 1, 2, 3, right? Client cast language server is erroring. I crashed my language server. Nice. If I restarted it, right? So over here, a block is an integer, right? But then if I try to use this block here inside, then this block is an unwind handle because this loop is being rewritten into that code that is injecting the new variable called block, right? So that should be fixed with the macro hygiene here. Okay. Could not find comp time in scope. Yeah, this comp time is now at comp time. Let me fix that. Doesn't parse, import test, that's fine. Okay. I'm not going to be working on macro hygiene right now, though. And maybe it's not that important. I mean, it is important if I rely on macros for these simple things. Let's see if it still works on the web. It should. But just in case it doesn't. Run. Okay. Who needs hygiene? The macros. Yeah, it still works. Okay, nice. One thing that is not working, maybe that's what I look into before I end the stream. I don't have emojis working for some reason in JavaScript. This Playground thing doesn't like to format code with Unicode emojis. What do you mean, format? Oh, I see. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's probably like this is probably like the same issue as why this is over here like that, right? It's actually weird that it's working in like if I do it in VS Code, it actually works fine, right? This formats correctly. So the problem happens when OCaml, which is transpiled into JavaScript, is not handling emojis. So is it like OCaml JS of OCaml? Maybe there's an issue here. Let's see, emoji. Or maybe like, let me see, like, I'm not even sure. Are you saying OCaml doesn't support emojis? OCaml supports, right? Because it's here. But OCaml has the compiler that is compiling it into JavaScript, and that thing might not support emojis. Yes. JS of OCaml. Maybe like I need to read it more about it. String. Yeah. So data representation. Data representation differs from the usual one. Most notably, the integers are 32 bits rather than 31 bits or 33 bits, which is their natural size in JavaScript, and floats are not boxed. As a consequence, marshalling, polymorphic comparison, and hashing functions can yield results different from usual, right? Okay, but we have problem with strings, and strings are stored in JavaScript as string or object. Seems to be any coding issue. How are the strings being encoded in okay, maybe I ask ChatGPT. Is probably like knows about it. Cloudflare has the Cloudflare has just is just down. That's why it's showing it, right? This issue. Cloudflare challenges Cloudflare.com is down. DeepSeek. I'm logged in here again. DeepSeek also needs challenge. DeepSeek also needs Cloudflare. I cannot. Is Google working even? Grok. What is it? XCOM/Grok. I never used Grok before. Internal server error. Visit Cloudflare for more information. Cloudflare is erroring. Wait, X just doesn't work at all, right? Yeah, okay. Luckily, we invented a decentralized internet. Wait, I'm still streaming, right? Is Twitch working? Is Twitch not relying on Cloudflare? All right, maybe I need to look into it. Like string encoding. UTF-8 strings. There seems to be some encoding issues with channels and Sys.js set channel flusher. I would expect the console to show this, instead it shows that. The second arrow. UTF-8 is broken. The following patch seems to be enough to solve the issue. something something. Whatever that means. Let me take a look at, like, I have the only thing about JavaScript in where? In cast.js over here. This is my only, like, thing that has anything to do with JavaScript. And yeah, I don't know, like, it shouldn't matter at all. The LSP breaks the bytes. I think it might be the OCaml of JS. I mean, I can try like a simpler thing. Like I can try. It's not like the LSP, right? How about I have a? I will go to export a new thing. I'm going to have a method, method foo, which returns a string, and it's going to return the unicorn, right? Like this. Let's just return the unicorn like that. Method foo. And I'm going to open another VS Code with the playground locally. Editor could not be opened due to unexpected error. How it works. Is my VS Code depending on Cloudflare too? npm run dev. Cast dot. Do we have like the logs from the workers? We should have, right? Cast.foo. Property foo doesn't exist. I mean, but it exists, right? Git relies on Cloudflare for showing diffs. Yeah. Or is it not actually like compiling? Oh, I need to like console log foo and cast foo, this thing. There we go. Oh, foo is a function args. Camel callback. Wait, what? Don't I have like method foo here directly? This is a cast object which has a method foo, right? Cast.set output. Yes. Method foo. And where am I typing the things? Foo is a function that returns a string, right? That's what it's supposed to be. Just call it again, you think? No, I call a function, it returns a function. Just call it again. Why did I need to call it again? That's weird. Oh, because it's a method. It's a yeah. Okay, it's already a method. That's right. I do need to call it again. That makes sense. It's a method. It's not like the let. It's like the objective camel already at this point. I'm not using this a lot. There we go. If I now reload, yeah, there we go. See, so like this is just the JS of OCaml issue, because in the OCaml code we have the emoji, but this is what I get in JavaScript. It's just the encoding of strings. What if I try writing some Russian here? Some English? and Russian, and then an emoji. Right? It's like it's also doesn't see the Russian here at all. So it's like none of the UTF-8 stuff is working. Maybe it's only supporting ASCII. Maybe I need to do something so that it's like supporting it. So that it supports it. JS of OCaml, UTF-8. Wait, only supporting ASCII in 2025. Are OCaml strings UTF-8 even? I'm not sure. Does OCaml even do this? String. Strings being arbitrary sequence. Strings in OCaml is just arbitrary sequence of bytes. They can hold any date, any kind of textual encoding. However, the recommended encoding for storing Unicode text in OCaml strings is UTF-8. Okay, so this makes sense, maybe, because it just translates to JavaScript as just basically bytes, right? But how do we do this in JavaScript then? Like, it's just weird. JS of OCaml UTF-8. JavaScript files are UTF-8 encoded. I don't care about the encoding of the files. I'm caring about like the strings. String UTF-8. Like they have module JS of OCaml JS, right? And they have something about UTF-8. But this is about the decode URI. There is a JS string. Oh, maybe we do this. Hold on. There is JS.js string. This is JavaScript string objects. So there is method toString. JString t meth. They do meth. What does this even mean? Char add. Maybe I need to like construct the JavaScript string, but like that makes no sense though. Or maybe it does. Like I need to convert all of the OCaml strings into JavaScript strings or something manually with UTF-8. I don't see this. Is ChatGPT working yet? No. Does string in OCaml support UTF-8? Oh wait, look at this. A module stdlib UTF-8 string. That is in the JS of OCaml compiler. Okay. So yeah, basically this is, I think this is what we need, right? I need to have UTF-8 string in my cast.js. Let's try this over here. So this should return stdlib.utf8 string.t, right? Unbound module stdlib.utf8 string. No, it's not. Is this a different stdlib? Unbound module stdlib utf8 string. Here the emoji is working, so must be configurable. A compiler from OCaml bytecode to JavaScript. Do they do anything like special here? A compiler from OCaml bytecode to JavaScript. Print end line. This. You mean like... Where do I put it? Over here? Print end line. Emoji. But that's a different. That's if you do it over here, then it's working, sure. But that's completely different because this is taking the emoji from inside the JavaScript already, right? It's not the emoji over here is basically already on the JavaScript side, so it's not being converted. You know what I mean? We need the emoji to be inside of the inside of a camel world. Again, please. You don't understand why this works? Because for the same reason as this works. Here's my playground, right? Here's my playground. Let me just do this. Let me just do this. Input your name. Let's name be this, and then print name. Like if I do this and I try running this, does it not work? Oh no, it works. There you go. So if my name is an emoji, then I'm going to see the emoji here. That's the same reason. Because this emoji got here from inside the JavaScript already, right? There is no conversion between the like OCaml representation and the JavaScript representation happening. If you try to do it there. Conversion of strings from OCaml to JavaScript. Conversion of strings. Yeah, there we go. You see, there is a function called toString, which takes a JavaScript string and takes a string. And there's a function string, which takes a string and shows a JavaScript string, which is like different. This is called module JS of OCaml JS. Is that what I do? JS of OCaml dot JS dot string. Is that the string that I want? So this should be JS dot string. JS.js string, right? Description has type JS string JST. JS string JST. That's what you want. Okay. I think I fixed it though. Over here. Look at this. If I reload. Yeah, there we go. See? Some English, Russian, and an emoji. Okay. So it basically means that in order to go to the JavaScript world, I need to do this. Which is weird. But maybe I didn't read the documentation. Okay. So it means basically that that the set output, this is a function that takes actually JS string, JST. Can I have JS string as a thing separately? Here type JS string is JS string JST. So set output. Since this is a JavaScript world, we need to do that. Go over here, across JavaScript. I call this function using js.string. That. There you go. Or actually, I don't even do that, but I instead say first let f be a function s into f js string s. There you go. That's what I do. Okay. There's probably like other places. The formatter is another thing, right? This is just for printing. This is just for printing. This over here also should be JS string, and this should be JS string. Current input is a function s into f js dot. What's the other thing? ToString. The naming is weird. But okay. ToString s, and then we say and then we say no, this should be JS string, and then we say JS ToString, right? S is a string. This is using JS string. The expression has type string. Was expression was type of string promised. Oh, this is a promise. Hold on. Because this is a promise, and then I need to do promise.map using JS ToString. Okay, that's for the input. What else? Inlay hints. And wait, but this okay, that's a lot of work though. I feel like this should have been done automatically. I feel like this should have been done automatically, but like I need to actually convert all the strings inside of this, so I need to actually look into these types and look where the strings are and do that automatically and do that manually. That's a lot of work. Can it not be done automatically? This is going to work though for printing. Right? I should be able to like print this now. Am I slow? Formatting is still like wrong. Cast foo is not a function. Yeah. I need to get rid of this foo thing. Okay, so if I run this, that didn't work. Why did that not work? Prompt 1, 2, 3 emoji. No, not prompt input. That also is the same thing. Wait, what? Excuse me? Println s. Why does it look like duck typing? Because it's JavaScript, I guess. Why is the run button making the white to be disconnected or something? Is that what's happening? The run button is not running. It was just running. Hello? Oh my god. The stupid JavaScript now. Is the stream working? Like it is. I don't know. Did JavaScript break my PC, or was it OCaml? It probably is both. Did he add parametric polymorphism and type applications yet? By parametric polymorphism, you mean the templates, what I was calling them, or generics, right? We still have the like generics is very thin layer on top of functions, so it should be relatively easy to get them back. Because we can already have like functions that return types, right? So if you want to have a generic type, right now you can just have like t, and then you just return a new type where you have like x of type t and y of type t, right? You can have that, and then you can have let foo, which is of type generic type int32. I think you need parentheses for this, I'm not sure. Then it's going to be equal to x is 1, 2, 3, and y is 4, 5, 6. Right? Oh, you cannot see screen. Oh, that's right. Ah, everything is broken. Oh my god. I know why. But yeah, I see like a small issue, but like you can basically have a function that takes a type and returns a type without it being a generic. The only thing that generic says is like automatically inferring the arguments of your like functions, basically. Must be NixOS. Yeah, it is actually the NixOS issue here. There is a problem with the desktop portal of Wayland on Niri. I think only on Niri, and that's a Nix issue, I think. Although I'm not sure. Yeah, you know what? I'm just going to end the stream then. I'm not going to. I was going to end the stream anyway. Yeah. Yeah, screw the emojis, screw JavaScript. I'll be back later, next time. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.